after less lethal contingencies. Alan here. So today it's going to be a little follow-up shooting session here with my X-68, my Pistelle X-68 with the 4.5 inch long threaded stainless steel barrel. It's a 685 barrel, and I'm going to be seeing what I can get, how many rounds I can get out of a 12-gram CO2 with this addition of the Home Defense 24 short tuning ASA plugged. So we're going to be testing that out on 10-gram Joules today, which are 684. Okay, so 685 barrel, 684 bore matched ammunition. They weigh in 9.9 grams. And we're also going to be shooting using the Reaper suppressor so we can realize some gains from the Reaper here. And we'll see what those are. We'll put up some numbers and give me some data, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully this time we don't have any further trouble out of my 68 here. I think I got off maybe 2 shots and then maybe 2 more on HPA. I did end up replacing the inner birdcage O-ring, the 13 millimeter by 1.5 millimeter O-ring. So I replaced that. I didn't see anything wrong with any of the O-rings actually, so it was kind of weird. I did have my 50 millimeter, 1.8 millimeter wire size spring in here, so I replaced it with the factory original spring, just in case that may have been causing some issues. Anyways, I had been running that spring for a couple months now with the larger mods, and it was working fine anyway. So, but I decided to just go ahead, put the old spring in the factory, and I did replace that one O-ring as kind of proactive wise. But again, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. So I don't know, maybe it was a fluke. We'll see for sure. So I did notice that off camera, I did notice that yesterday I had a very small puncture. I mean, it was like a pinhole puncture. So I added some oil to my puncture degasser here and worked it a few times, and hopefully that'll help free things up. It hadn't been used in a while. I hadn't been using this gun on CO2 very much, especially not CO2 in the handle. So yeah, long story short, here we are again. Hopefully I don't have any problems. Hopefully we get a good puncture. Yeah, let's see what happens. All right, let's start off by puncturing it. Here we go. That definitely sounds better. I also hit it a lot harder. Sometimes I don't hit these hard enough. You know, it's like I kind of baby them or something. I'm kind of afraid to hit it too hard, but you really need to nail these things sometimes. But that time, noticeably difference. I could hear it. I could feel the bolt activate. So good crisp activation. You probably even heard it on the Bluetooth. But yeah, really good. Okay, gun is unloaded. Naturally, that's the way we like to start off. And that's what I'm going to do. I didn't bring down any regular mags because I'm just going to use my ADN mag that I have for the X-68 here. Let me put my air protection in. And yeah, we'll do the 10 gram Joules. We'll see how many we get. I imagine we'll get probably 6 out of a CO2, 7, maybe 8. But we'll see. We'll see how many we get. All right, we have our ADN mag here with 18 rounds. Of course, I ain't getting that out of a 12 gram. But we have 18 of the 10 grams in here. All right. All right. Let's turn the laser on. All right. Here we go. 10 gram on 12 gram CO2 in the handle. Shot 1. 410.5 feet per second. Shot 2. 396.5 feet per second. Shot 3. 388.4 feet per second. Shot 4. 340 feet per second. Shot, ooh. I only got 4. All right. Well, that was a quick test. You don't get much out of a 12 gram these days. All right. Only got 4 with this setup with the heavier ammo. I am using the 10 gram ammo, which is 9.9 grams, so it is pretty heavy, plus the addition of the tuning, the short tuning ASA. Thank you. Couldn't remember for a second. All right, so yeah. All right, I was hoping I'd get 6, but yeah. Let me take a gander here at if we get any cold air, because I'm thinking I just ran out. Granted, the bolt, I can see down there, the bolt didn't fully retract back, so it's probably still some pressure in there, just not enough to get the bolt. Maybe just not enough, right, to activate that bolt again, keep it. So let's see what we have for, if we got anything frosty or not. Yeah, nothing frosty coming out of there, so that tells me that the liquid CO2 was pretty much spent. So I think that's all you're getting on this setup. That's all I'm getting, I should say. Results could differ. You know, again, we're using the heavier ammo. If I had run lighter ammunition, I probably would have got through, 5, 6 of them. But running the 10 gram with this additional expansion chamber here, it is a gas hog. So what did I get? 4 shots, but I'm sure they're pretty darn powerful. So, all right, that is that. Let's check that puncture. I'm sure it's much better than yesterday. But let me take a look at it. I know it's going to be better. Sometimes these things have to be such a bugger to... Let's see. Oh yeah. Yeah. That's what a good puncture should look like on one of these here. Okay. Yesterday, when off camera, when I had checked it out, I could barely tell that it was even punctured. I mean, under the right lighting, I had to kind of turn the cartridge a little bit and let the light glow, reflect off of it. And then I could see just the slightest pinhole. So that could have been playing into the issues I had yesterday as well. Matter of fact, it probably was. Although that weird like double tap auto fire I had, that could have been CO2 related as well. No auto fire, no stutter on these 4 shots, but that's about all I'm getting out of this is 4, it looks like, with this chamber and that heavy ammunition. So I may have to consider, putting this aside for home defense, how heavy ammunition do I really want to use in this? If I'm going to continue to use the tuning ASA. Okay, so it's kind of weigh it pros and cons. Do I want to put the original cap back in and not use the tuning ASA and take the loss in feet per second, loss in power for not having that? Or do I want to go to maybe a slightly lighter ammo, an 8 gram or 7.3 aluminum? I mean, 7.3 aluminum coming at you, at 500 feet per second. That's going to hurt too. So, and maybe I can get 6 shots. Maybe I'll get a regular mag out of it. So, and then there's always the case that if that ain't enough, I can just keep a bottle connected to the back of this and we're good to go anyways. Which we're going to do now. Let's see what it'll do off a 700. Second part of the test that I did the other day when I ended up having the marker gassed out or aired out was I wanted to try it on the 700. That's comparable to CO2, but I have a little greater capacity in the tanks and it's free air. So let's let me put this back on here and we'll shoot a couple more rounds out of this drum mag, 80N drum mag. And yeah, we'll do that on 700 HPA, high pressure air. So let's give that a try. Let's give that a try. All right. So this is one of the options we have right here, right? One of the options. I do need an on and off just in case something gets squirrely on me. Now I do have this MCS slide check that kind of works when it wants to. I mean, it always works. It's just sometimes it's a little difficult. On this MCS one, you kind of really gotta twist as you push forward on the MCS one. Let's give it a try. Let's give it a try. Okay, so that's what that one is. And let me take this cover off. And then we're going to air it up, check it for leaks like we usually do first. If we have no leaks, I'll put my air protection in. All right. Now with this little this is my small tank, the smallest one I have, 7 CI tank, pumped up to 3,000 capacity. Okay. And the regulator is supposed to be a 800 PSI output regulator. However, it's every time I put the gauge on it, it's putting out 700, somewhere between 700 and 750. And these days it seems like it's just about 700 PSI. So, which is comparable to probably what I'm getting, at least when I've had gauges on my CO2 guns. That's about what I get. You know, unless you get the CO2 in the sun, you're only getting about 700 PSI anyways. At least that's all I've ever seen. Other than when I preheated it with my preheater project there. My Stormtrooper project, or Stormtrooper build, I should say. All right, so we got this tight. We got the tank on. Let's try this right here and air it up on 700 HPA. It's not a lot of room, I'll tell you that, to get in here. That's one of the problems. All right, unloaded, pointed down, range. Okay, that wasn't too bad, actually. Of course, it would be nice if they'd give you something, or if somebody sold something, you could slide over that to make it a little bigger so you can, you know, if your fingers are a little greasy or if you're sweating, that's really tough to operate that thing. Really tough. All right, so I ain't going to shoot the whole drum mag, obviously. I'm just going to shoot off, I don't know, 5-6 rounds. Just want to see what we get on the 700. I mean, the tank's so small that it will act like CO2 in the sense that it will be diminishing. So other than that first shot with a 7 CI tank, you know, first, maybe second shot, well, heavy ammo like this, probably first shot's probably going to be a hot shot, just like what you would see with CO2. Except for I have higher pressure, you know, so it's going to go a little further. So, all right, let's do that. Just shoot off about 6 of these, I guess. Turn the laser back on. All right. 10 gram ammo, 10 gram joules, 700 PSI, high pressure air. Shot 1. 403.3 feet per second. Shot 2. 400.6 feet per second. Shot 3. 387.8 feet per second. Shot 4. 383.1 feet per second. Shot 5. 381.4 feet per second, and shot 6. I think that'll be enough. Shot 6. That's what a typical magazine would be, right? So shot 6. 384.7 feet per second. Per second. Per second. All right. That is what we have there, and I am tripping on joules. Degas. So when this thing works good, it works good, you know? should probably use it more. Maybe it'd start working better. I mean, it's really about the technique on this one. But again, if I could find, and if anybody knows of, like anybody that makes something that you can, that would go over this, like a hard piece of rubber that would just give you something a little bit, just something like an anti-slip thing that would go over this. Maybe someone makes it, I don't know. That would be nice. Then I probably could get more use out of this. Something bigger so that I can click it on and off, you know. That would be cool. That would be cool. All right, so that was 700 HPA. That second part of that test. All right, we got all the ammo out of there. And sometimes this thing wants to stay. Sometimes this thing wants to stay. Ooh. Pick up my Joules. All right, let's see if I can get this off. Well, anyways, I guess you don't need to see me wrestling around getting that tank off. I put it on pretty tight, so it's gonna take a tool, I think, to get it off now. Anyways, hopefully this has been yeah, I think this was a good test. I think I got some good numbers. No malfunction out of the marker this time. So, tearing it down slightly, inspecting the O-rings, replacing that inner bird cage or the air plenum. Maybe that was the problem. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was all this low pressure CO2 problem because, like I said, I had a really poor puncture. That could have been it. I didn't see any obvious signs of, torn or nicked or broken O-rings. So, yeah. So, I mean, she's running really good right now. So, I'll update the video with the Joules. And, yeah, thanks for watching. Hopefully you're having a wonderful day. Peace out.